Hello, hello, my brothers and sisters. This is Garrett Bake, your brother in arms, and welcome to another episode of The Tactical Businessman. Today's topic, yes, in case you're wondering, that's me meditating. Listen, I don't want to talk to you specifically about meditation, but I want to share with you a story that kind of has to do with journeys and paths and things like that. When I first became an undercover detective, I was super excited. I'm like, this is really cool. I've always wanted to do this. Like, I get to legally buy and sell drugs. What? So, I get to this unit, and there's 3 guys in there with a lot of experience, and then there's 2 plus me who don't have a lot of experience. So I was leaning very heavily on these guys that had a lot of experience. One of them became my mentor, right? And I would watch him prepare for a drug deal. I would watch him execute the drug deal. And then I would watch him to see what he did after the drug deal. And we did this for a few times over the first 30 days that I was there. The point of this was to be able to learn from him how it was that he did it. Well, it comes to the time when it's my turn, right? It's my turn to go out and actually do or fill a drug deal. This kind of sounds funny saying it now, but basically to work as an undercover officer buying drugs from a bad guy. So I start reaching out through different means, and eventually I come across a guy who has some acid, some LSD that he's selling. Not very common, but hey, I'll take it. So we text back and forth, and we get to this point where he's like, hey, let's meet over here. Here's the price. Here's what I got. I'm like, cool. So I run to my supervisor. I'm super excited. I'm like, hey, I set up this drug deal. It's awesome. Like, I'm ready to go. And he's like, all right, well, when are we doing this? I was like, I don't know. When do you want to do it? He's like, that's up to you. Okay. So then I give him the day and the time. He's like, okay, who's doing what? What do you mean who's doing what? Well, you have a support team, you have a cover team, what are they doing? And who's doing what task? I was like I had no idea. And so we played this game probably for about 2 days, trying to get this thing dialed in. And so the day finally came, and I was super nervous and excited, like did not want to do it. At all, did not want to do it. And my heart is racing. I got knots in my stomach. I go to the meetup location. He's there. He gets in my car. I'm freaking out. He hands me the drugs that were just on a piece of paper, believe it or not. And then I give him the money. He gets out, and that's it. And afterwards, when I get back to the station, I'm talking to this other detective, this mentor of mine, and he's asking me, well, hey, man, like, how do you think it went? I was like, I have no idea. It was like a blur to me. I didn't really understand anything, didn't get anything. And as we're talking about this, he made me realize something that was very important. He's like, hey, you have to find your own way of interacting with these subjects. It can't be mine, it can't be somebody else's, it has to be yours. See, because what had happened is I'd watched him over the previous 30 days, and I'd started to take on some of his persona. But I wasn't him. See, he's Hispanic, he's 6'4", good looking guy, long hair. And so he had this smooth character that was able to portray itself into this world. But that wasn't me. You know, I tried to grow out long hair, by the way, just so you know. Looks kind of funny. If you want, I can show you a picture. But I started to try to become him. And during this time that I was trying to become him, I wasn't really comfortable with what I was doing. It just seemed unnatural. It seemed like I was playing a game. And I really struggled doing these transactions. And so about 6 months later, he had to remind me of this. And he's like, hey man, like your biggest problem right now is one thing and one thing only. And that's you're not being you. Like you're trying to be me, or you're trying to be this other guy, or you're trying to be whoever, but it's not you. You're not dressing like you, you're not acting like you, you're not being you. The reason you're on this squad is because of who you are, not because of your ability to impersonate somebody else. And I was like, wow, it's powerful. You see, but he was right. I was still stuck trying to be somebody else, trying to act like somebody else. And it wasn't until I owned who I was, how I was, that I started to see some success, building bigger cases, having these interaction with these subjects where they're laughing in the middle of a drug transaction. I mean, it was this crazy thing that happened. But I had to own who I was first. Now think about this in your life. It may have been you in high school. Hell, I know I did. I tried to play with a quote-unquote popular crowd. That didn't work. So then I was with the athletes, right? So I was always trying to fit into a group, trying to dress like they dressed, trying to act like they acted, trying to become someone else instead of just owning who I was. Or maybe it was you when you went to college. Or maybe it was you when you got your first job. Like you start to pretend and think that this is the way that I'm going to have success. If I start to act and portray and pretend to be someone that I'm not. And the crazy part is that we take this into our personal lives. And so we start to pretend that, oh, well, I can't be the loving, caring, passionate husband in public because then my quote-unquote friends will see me and they'll make fun of me and they'll laugh at me and they'll pretend they don't know me. And we say all these things, these stories into our head that ultimately keep us from having the success that we want. If we would just be ourselves, we would have the success. Now here's the crazy part, right? I learned that in police work. Well, this last week I was in California for 2 days. Yes, I go to training too. And I was part of this group inside of Warrior. And it's an elite group. And over the last couple of years, I've spent north of, I won't give you an exact number, but north of $120,000 working on me, right? Becoming a better version of me, becoming more elite at being me, unlocking who I was. Yet here I was 2.5 years later, finding myself still trying to be someone else. Someone else in my message, someone else in the way I dressed and acted, someone else in voice, instead of just being me. And my biggest revelation this weekend was, what would happen if I was just me? What would happen if I just owned who I was? And sure, if you've been listening to this podcast long enough, you've seen this evolution, right? This podcast started as Awaken the Guardian. It has transitioned to the Tactical Businessman. This podcast started with 45-minute episodes. It's transitioned to 15-minute episodes. So as I've gone down this path of discovering who I am, I've gone refining the process. I'm much more comfortable in what I do now because I've owned who I am, yet still trying to be someone else. So my biggest revelation from this 2-day conference was this one thing. Quit trying to be someone else. That's it. Now you would think that your mother or your wife or your best friend or your pastor, somebody could tell you this or teach you this lesson, and it wouldn't cost you a whole lot of money. In fact, you could probably get it for free. But here we are as men going through this journey we call life. We're not ready to hear the message quite yet. We feel like we have to go down this path on our own, trying to figure it out before the aha moment occurs. And so I want you to consider is the very same thing that I'm currently considering is how much am I aligned with who I am? How much am I aligned with my purpose? How much am I doing the things that I want to do? In my business, with my body, in my personal life? And how much am I still trying to be somebody else? See, when I first started working out after graduating from high school, what did I want to be like? Well, I don't know, go to the supermarket and pick up a magazine. Like the dudes that are all yoked out, they're all ripped, six-pack abs, veins everywhere. I'm like, that's what I want to be. But those guys, oh man, that's not who I wanted to be. So I went through this back and forth path and settled to where I am right now, which is a body that serves me and allows me to have the energy and focus to invest in my family after work instead of wanting to just lay on the couch or feeling like I have to throw down an energy drink just to make it by. I think about my relationship with my wife, thinking that I had to be like the guys on TV. How many of you have seen Disney movies? What do you always see? The man is the, quote, knight in shining armor, rides in to save the day, to rescue the girl. And that's how I always saw myself in my relationship with my wife. Truth is, she didn't need a knight in shining armor. She just wanted a partner. But I would continue to pretend like I was riding in on my white horse, shield in one arm, sword in the other, ready to vanquish the foe. But that wasn't me. And so that's what I've learned to discover is, who is it that I am in our relationship? Who do I really want to be? And the same thing in my business. When I first started down this path of business, I had this idea of what it meant for me to be a businessman. How it was that I needed to talk to people, to connect with people. What it was that they wanted to hear. Trying to fit myself into a mold of someone or something else. And the truth is, I just needed to be me. Just me. And no one else. And so as I started to transition into the space of being me, which I am still doing, I started to see things open up. More people connect with me. More people want to have conversation with me. More people want to do things with me. Why? Because I was just being me, which then allowed them the opportunity to just be them. One more example. So this will just drive home the fact. So when I was in this undercover space, again, there was a period of time I grew my hair out, I grew my beard out. I looked like a bum. There was no way around it. And so then I'd go to church, and because of the attitude that I thought I had to have, like arms crossed, head back, chin up, like what's up, like challenging everybody, I would sit in the back of church in this position, and no one would come talk to us, no one would come near us. And I remember asking my wife, how come nobody wants to hang out with us? How come nobody wants to do anything with us? I'm a nice guy. And she turns and looks at me. And she goes, look at you. Who would want to hang out with you? And of course, at the time, I was still being an asshole. So I was like, what? What did you just say? But she was right. If you looked at me in the mirror, what would you see? You would see an unappealing human. Not just physically, but the energy that I was giving off. I didn't really want anybody to be around. Or at least that's the energy that I was portraying. So gentlemen, ask yourself right now, who are you trying to be in your life? Who are you trying to be in your business? Like, do you really think that you're going to be Elon Musk? I'm not going to stop you if you think you are, but maybe you should just be content being you. Or in your relationship, trying to be something that your wife and kids don't want, instead of just being husband and dad. Or in your body, instead of chasing the unrealistic expectations of a competition, figure competitor, just be okay having extra strength, stamina, and the ability to play with your wife and kids. Because ultimately, when this life ends, the only thing you're going to ask is, did I do the things that I want to do? Or was I too busy trying to be somebody else? All right, that's all I got for you today. Remember, you can go to thetacticalbusinessman.com. We got a new course that's launching that'll help you discover the answers that you're looking for in life. Not someone else, but you. And how it is that you actually get these things. All right. As always, stay safe, and we'll see you on the next one.